Hello viewers, welcome back to Ohio Airgun Shooter. In a previous video, I tested out the Lancer Defense Scorpion, which is a 50 caliber powder ball launcher powered by a 12 gram CO2 cartridge. It goes by some other names, I believe the Concord and maybe a few others. Anyhow, as you may recall, I was having an issue with one of the magazines. I believe it was the one that came in the gun. I ordered a separate one. I have took it apart right here. This is the one I was having issues with. Anyhow, what was happening was the spring, it wouldn't feed any of the rounds because the spring got bound up and the follower was just kind of free floating. So what was happening was, I was shooting it and there was nothing coming out of the launcher because it wasn't feeding. Another issue I was having was as I was putting it in, this is the one that works, that if you go to insert the magazine and you happen to bump this little detent where you have rounds, round balls in your magazine, it will want to shoot one up into the chamber area, prior to you getting the magazine all the way in, which causes a jam, or you can't insert the magazine all the way, or if you're trying to shoot it, it'll bind up the trigger mechanism, and this barrel's free floating, so everything kind of gets lodged up in there. Anyhow, I took this one apart. First I thought I could just take this little detent off and then just pull it out the top, but it won't let you do that. You have to remove this little pin. There's a little pin down here, you can see it right there. Gotta remove that. I'll show you. It kind of goes like so. So if you're facing it like this, move it from the right to the left. Anyhow, I pulled out the spring. Okay, once I got that out, I pulled out the spring. You can see the spring. I mean, the follower was clearly out of the spring, but it does go up in there. Now this is a steel spring, but it's so thin, you can see the kink in it. I don't know if that's what was binding it up, but such a weak spring. I mean, for powder balls, I don't know what this is designed for, but it's just very weak. I mean, this magazine, I don't know if it's universal through different launchers from the same company. I know the cap, it's the quick pierce and degasser is the exact same as in a mercurized launchers. I don't know if it is in that the X68 Pistel. I mean, is the magazine similar? I can't recall off the top of my head, but I mean, just are all the springs this weak? Anyhow, I got it apart, and I thought, or I remembered I have some of these extra rubber ball springs for the T4E models that I have. This one's specifically was out of the T4E H&K VP9 that I have. Much sturdier, much stiffer. Has a little bit more weight to it. It also is steel. But I'm gonna see, because it fits in the follower perfectly. So I'm gonna try to install this in the magazine and see if that makes a difference. I mean, I can already feel the tensions much better. I don't know if that will be a bad thing when it's feeding the projectiles up. So I think a little bit more tension might help. It might keep more tension on the detent here while inserting the magazine. That way, if you do accidentally bump it, it may not release as quick. Because here's the detent and stuff right here. Let me zoom in on those. It's just that little screw spring, which I've already lost twice. So if you're going to take this off, do it inside something, maybe a box, or cover it in a rag or something, because this little sucker will fly and you will Took me forever to find it the first time. The second time, not so bad. But it is steel. I was able to run a magnet over the area, kind of where I figured it was, and I collected it. But yeah, it will launch if you're not careful. Anyhow, what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to install this rubber ball spring here. I have a couple other T4B models that have the same spring. As a matter of fact, I ordered a magazine and it also came with the spring. So I have a spare one actually. So I'm going to see if I can use this and this one and see what the difference is. Because then I can keep one stock and then I can use this one. So let me get this together and we'll see how it goes. See if it will load up. See if it will you know, advance the projectiles into the pistol properly, and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, it's a much more sturdier spring. I mean, you can see the difference. It's thicker. Let me zoom out a little bit more. It's much thicker, straighter. I don't want to see how this thing got kinked up. I mean, you can just see it. It's just got a nice little kink. It's stretched out. So let me see how much better this one will be inside the magazine. Stay tuned. Alright, so I was able to get the magazine back together with the T4E spring. So far it seems to work okay. Well, it has a lot more tension. I'm going to see how many plastic or nylon round balls I can get in here. I'm thinking I should have maybe cut a little bit off before I put it in, because I was only getting 6 rounds in this magazine with the spring that was already in it. This thing that has a bend, very flimsy, but the T4E is much sturdier, but it's a lot stiffer. 3, 4, and 5. Can I get a 6th one in? I don't think so. Nope, just 5. So I'm gonna test this out with just the 5. I don't know if I should cut that down, take it back out. I should be able to get one more in there, I think. Let me see. It's quite bound up though. That's exactly how the other one looked, but this one seems a lot more sturdier. I don't think I can get one more in there. It's pretty tight. Let me see if I can drop one more. Nope, just 5. So we'll try it with the 5, see how it works. I don't know even how much I would have to cut off of that. So let's just see how it shoots with 5, and I might just leave it with 5. Alright, stand by. But first, let me show you. This is the original spring. I can get 6. Oops, get back here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. See, I can get 6, but I can't get a 7th. And it's supposed to be a 7-round magazine. I can't get 7, just 6. So with the other spring, I can only get 5. So I might just leave that. I mean, I'm not going to be doing a whole lot with this anyways, besides just kind of tinkering and testing, but I'm just curious if that'll leave them feed, if they'll want to, you know, with the higher tension, if they'll want to try to double feed. So I don't know, I'll test it out. As a matter of fact, I'll just test out both. I'll be back. Another thing that I did, Rune Rebel and a few others mentioned that the only way to really do any type of power tune is to remove this nut. As you can see here. Now, I figured out a way to do it without taking it apart. You can't really get a socket or anything in there, so I just took a flathead screwdriver and held the nut, and then I just there's a flat tip screw head on the tip of the valve there, and I just held that nut in place with a flat tip screwdriver and backed it, like screwed that valve piece clockwise, and it actually backed that nut off some, so I have it sticking out a little bit. So I'm wondering if that will affect power at all. As the hammer hits, is it too short of a distance or not, or will it not hit it hard enough, or will it, since I backed off the nut, allow more movement of that valve to maybe give it a little bit more power? That way maybe this can act as an adjuster, a power adjuster. If you leave it on, you could just give it, like I backed it off, I think maybe 2.5, 3 twists. You can see where the nut's sticking out a bit. I don't know CO2 in this, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger. I mean, will that be enough for it to even engage? So I don't know. I'm gonna try it out and see without taking it all the way off. Otherwise, I'll have to go ahead and move the nut back down, or just take it all the way off. But I'm just curious if you can use that as a power adjuster. So I'm gonna test out the magazine that I added the new spring to, and I'm going to see what my velocity is, and then I'm going to compare that just to what my velocity was before in the previous video with this Scorpion, and see if I have an increase or a decrease. So stay tuned. Let me get this loaded up some CO2, and we'll go over and set up the chronograph. All right, back with the Lancer Defense Scorpion and the magazine that I just swapped out the original spring with, using a rubber ball spring from T4E magazine. I was only able to load up 5 rounds. Normally they're supposed to hold 7, however I could only load 6. All right, CO2's already been pierced. Magazine's installed. I also backed that nut off to where it sticks out a little further, so I don't know if this is even going to shoot. I mean, if the hammer fall is going to be enough to hit that to, you know, release a burst of CO2 gas or not, or by bringing it back, is it going to allow this valve to push a little further in to allow maybe a bigger burst? I don't know yet, because the tune that Rune Rebel and a few others mentioned, Less Lethal for Dummies, I think, removed the entire thing. So I just want to see if this will work at all. So originally with the 0.1 or 1.44 gram nylon balls, I was getting, the highest I got was 273.3 feet per second. And then the lowest was 211.6. That was like the first shot off a fresh CO2 magazine. So this first shot may either be really low or it could be high. So you're going to witness the first shot of both the spring change and the backing off of that nut. All right, first shot. Safety's off, CO2 charged. First shot. Well, that just released all of the, I think a little too much tension on that spring. I'm gonna have to maybe cut a little bit off of that. Velocity was good. 270 what? All right, let me see if I got any left in here. I think I got maybe one left. 279.1. I think 3 launched. Let me see. I'm empty. That was just a blast of gas. So it might be a little too much tension. Let me try that again. All right, let me reload a few more of these balls. Yeah, I think there might be a little too much tension. 3. Well, load 4. See if that helps. I dropped one somewhere, but we'll find out later. Well, power seems to be okay backing that nut out, so yeah, those already popped out. So I got 2 more in there. Let me try those. All right. That one just fell out. Yeah, I think there's a little too much tension. Let's try that again. I'll just load 2, see what that does. So I might have to cut a little bit off that spring to reduce the tension. All right. 219.3. 236.5. So we'll shoot them. And it seems to, that nut, backing it off, seemed to help a little bit in the first few shots. All right. I got 6 loaded up in the normal magazine. Let's see what the velocity is with these. .9, 224.5, 250.7. I'm gonna try some double action. 242.8. Oh, that one just rolled out. That's it. That was the last one. That's just a regular magazine, and you still have some rolling out. So, not exactly a good design. Well, I guess I could say that was a good test and a bad test. At least I found out, it will feed, but it has a little too much tension, and I guess it wants to just push those right out the barrel. So I don't know if I could cut a little bit of this off and reduce the tension a little bit, because again, this is the original one. It's just too flimsy. I'm just since this is called a powder ball launcher, I guess you don't want too much tension. But with these nylon balls, I don't think this likes them, because they like to roll out of the barrel, especially if you hesitate on your trigger pull and you need to hold it, or you're just trying to just bring back like a trigger pull like this. If you just tilt this forward a little bit, I mean, the balls just want to roll out. I don't know if that's just because of the nylon balls, but it's just weird. I mean, you pretty much got to just finish your shot. You can't really hold it like this and hesitate. You just got to either just single action, just go all the way down, pull it all the way back, or with a double, just do it all in one motion. Otherwise, if you do it halfway and just hold it and then try to break it, those balls want to roll out. But at least my spring idea has kind of worked. I just got to reduce the tension. I don't have any other springs. Actually, I might have one more spring that might work, but I think it might be too large diameter wise. But this is the rubber ball spring from the T4E. I think these are supposed to be a lighter tension than the other spring that's already in the magazine. Here it is. This is my VP9 mag. You can see it has a rubber ball spring in as well. So I think this is the solid object spring. So this is the paintball and rubber ball spring. But I can't shoot paintballs out of this. It just has too much CO2 energy bursts, and it just wants to make a mess of the paintballs in the gun. So I can't shoot paintballs out of it. It's really not designed for that. Even though the paintballs that I was using are T4E paintballs designed for T4E. But yeah, I got an extra spring for this magazine. I also have another one for the Walther PDP that I got, which is also a T40 43 caliber. I also have a Glock 17 Gen 5, but it has a different style magazine, which the spring is designed just for anything. So, but yeah, I don't know. Should I cut some of this off? Will that affect the spring coil, the tension at all? So, anybody got any suggestions to help reduce that the tension? Because it's a much better spring. I mean, it will load them. I can only load 5, but when you insert this into the gun, it wants to either double feed them or just shoot 3 of them out of the barrel as soon as you put it in there. So I don't know. It kind of works and it kind of doesn't. Power wise with the nut, I seem to get a little more. It's hard to say. Maybe I should try with something a little lighter, like the 1 gram rubber balls that came with it. But I don't know if that helped at all. I'll have to do a proper test with that to see if that made any difference. Maybe screw it back down or just take it completely off. But that first shot was higher than I thought it was going to be, so maybe that did kind of make a difference. So maybe some of the other guys can kind of tinker with that, test that theory out as well, if you could use this nut for like a power adjuster. But it shot just fine with it backed out. You can see it again, it's sticking out just a little bit. So maybe I can take it out some more, if that will make a difference. It's not loose. There's plenty of thread left. So maybe take it out a little bit more. See if that will change the velocity at all. I don't know, just an idea. But that's it for today. Just thought I wanted to test out my magazine rebuild, I guess you could say. But I don't know. Like I said, it kind of worked and it kind of didn't. So anyhow, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.